Hi, my name is Mac Hendricks. I'm the project founder for the MeltAPI. So the problem that Melt is trying to solve is the fact that there's a number of PBXs out there that doesn't have an API, which makes it very difficult to integrate with those PBXs for the purpose of doing automated provisioning or to be able to integrate with a CRM or some type of ERP system. So, for example, FusionPBX, as you've seen here, which is a very popular open source PBX, they have a concept of multi-tenancy, meaning that there's multiple customers can be on this one PBX system. So if you're adding new customers to this PBX, you have to go into the GUI and you need to do a number of clicks in order to set up a customer by default. Granted, FusionPBX does have an API that's available if you actually purchase a higher support package, but by default, it's not there. But again, we're trying to solve this for not just FusionPBX, for a number of PBXs out there that doesn't have a standard PBX. So let's go through and show how easy it is with Melt in order to set up support or to provide an API. So I'm at the Melt API application. I'm going to click Try It Now. I'm going to quickly just create an account. Now after you create an account, the first thing it's going to do is actually say, put in the name or the IP address of your FusionPBX server, in our case. Now it's generating an API key, which is going to be used to authenticate to the Melt API, and then also a configuration ID, which represents the actual PBX that you just defined in the previous screen. The next thing it's going to do is actually give you a command to run on the FusionPBX server. In our case, that command was already ran, so we can go ahead and do a let's test. And what you'll see here is a list of domains, right? The same list of domains that we saw in our FusionPBX domain here. What this is just proving and validating that the Melt API could communicate with the FusionPBX server. Now the next thing you can do is actually start a free trial. So let's go through and assume that we've already started a free trial and see what we can do with this API. What you can see here is that we actually, if you go into Postman, there is a standard API that we actually publish, so you can interact with it that way. And you can see that you can interact with a number of different entities, outbound route, a domain, an extension, a destination, and gateway. So you can go through and configure the whole system. But for us, what we're going to do is quickly just use the command line interface here. And there's a actual open source project called MeltAPI Client Bash, and which allows you to interact with the API. Now we're still building this particular client. We're updating it almost every day. But real quickly, what we're going to do is just do a MeltAPI domain get, which gives you all the domains, what we saw in the screen on the Melt API GUI and what we saw in the FusionPBX. We also can delete a particular domain as well. So if I do a delete here, I can actually see that it was successful. I can do another get, and I can see that domain is no longer there. You also can do a create as well if you want to. Real quickly, we'll just do a Melt API domain. You can see the commands. If you want to do a create or add a domain, you can just do domain add, And the name of the domain, we'll say Miami, since I'm in Miami today. dciprouter.net is the name of the domain, and I can give it a description if I want to, but I'm just going to leave it blank. All right, cool. So you notice here that it actually gave me a domain ID, and if I want to just do a get, I can see that this domain has been created. We also can see inside the dashboard that if we go ahead and log out, we can actually see this new domain. We have to log in, and you can see the Miami domain was created here. All right, so this is just a quick demonstration of defining the problem that MeltAPI is trying to solve, and telling you and showing you the solution that we created in order to solve that problem. All right, thank you, and talk to you soon.